Before we begin a study of the anatomy of the horse, we need to have a good understanding of why we use the terms that we do. The naming of the parts of the horse follows the naming of the parts of the human body, the horse being a mammal just like us. So the horse's forelimbs actually correspond to our arms, and whenever you remember that, then it makes it a little easier to remember that the names change as you move down the arm. The hind limbs correspond to our legs. So why do we need to have a good grounding in anatomical terminology? First off would be, of course, to have a deeper understanding of the subject matter that you're trying to study. Secondly, so that you're going to be more successful at any exams you might take. And then applying it out in the field, of course, when you're working on a case with a vet or other professionals, you'll have a much deeper understanding of the information that they are trying to convey. And of course, you will be more precise in your language in the information you're trying to convey. And then lastly, sometimes you will be the interpreter or the liaison between the vet or maybe another professional and the owner, where you have to interpret the diagnosis that was left on a case. So let's get started. Most of the terms are founded in Greek and Latin words, so some of them are going to be familiar and some of them won't. So you just have to remember them as we go along. So towards the horse's head is described as cranial. Towards the horse's tail is caudal. So you think cranium, cranial. And then we put in a dividing line at the horse's knee and hock, and the front face of all four limbs is cranial. So the front face of the forelimbs, the front face of the hind limbs is cranial above that dividing line. And the back face is caudal. Now the reason for that is this is the horse's forearm. The horse's knee is actually the wrist. So everything beyond the wrist is the hand. So we use dorsal for the front face and palmar for the back face, because the bottom or back face of your hand is your palm. Front face of the hind limb is dorsal, and the back face is plantar. Think plantar wart. On the bottom of your foot is the bottom face or back face of your foot. Plantar is the back face of the horse's hind limb below the hock, because the hock corresponds to our ankle. So again, cranial towards the horse's head, caudal towards the tail, and that follows for the upper region of the forelimbs and hind limbs, cranial towards the head, caudal towards the tail. Below the knee and hock, it's dorsal for the front face, both fore and hind, and then it's palmar for the back face or bottom face of the forelimb, plantar for the back face or bottom face of the hind limb.